Yo, what's good, everybody? I got a brand new video for you guys today. This is going to be a little different from my regular videos, and I'm going to be doing a self-improvement tier list of 12 different habits that you could implement into your life, and I'm just going to be ranking them from the very best to D tier. So I'm assuming D tier is just essentially that they're not really going to change much for you, or they're pretty pointless. And then the best is must haves in your life. So yeah, I'm just gonna get straight into it. I feel like some of these, I don't necessarily know if what I'm saying is correct. Like this, I'm assuming is nutrition. This right here is pretty open-ended, but I'm going to just assume it's looks maxing. But you get the gist of it. Like this one especially, I'm just assuming this is just like chasing the bag, just focusing on money. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. And I'm going to start with being sober. So I'm going to put it in very good. And I think for myself, it's hard to rank this because I've essentially been sober my entire life. I've never done drugs, never drank, smoke. So it's hard for me to say the difference between being sober and not. But from what I hear from other people when they talk about, finally being sober and, not consuming alcohol at all or not as much, is that it really helps you a lot. Obviously, it's very beneficial in terms of your health. And then obviously, the people that do drink a lot or have in the past can definitely attest to this, that, a lot of the times you regret it the next day. It's, just in the moment type of thing. And sometimes you even lose control of your thoughts, mind, if any, and your mind. And so it's just not something that you should be really doing. So I think being sober is very good, especially if, you're at a low point of your life and you're trying to do better or you're trying to change that. So I'm going to put it very good. Could be best, but I've always been sober first, so it's hard for me to, have a testimony for this. Meditation, I'm going to put it in very good. I'm going to put it above sober. Yeah, I'm going to put it here. I don't really meditate myself, again. So it's hard for me to say why this is so good for you. But what I do a lot of the times, sometimes, is that I just disconnect from everyone and everything. And I just go outside for a walk. And then I may sit down on a bench and just look into the sky or just observe everything around me and just not talk, not think, and just focus on my breath. And I guess that is to some extent meditation, but I'm not closing my eyes, or I'm not really focusing on my breath too much. I'm just, in essence, I'm really just observing the nature and occasionally breathing. So you could say it's meditation, but it's not. To me, the only reason I do this is because it calms me a lot. I feel like, especially now, the best way is, it's not effective, or it's not, I would say I wouldn't suggest it, but the best way to avoid your problems is probably just to, be on your phone, or just, always have your brain stimulated. But if you want to do it in an actual better way, is just to, meditate, right? You want to get a lot of stuff out of your head, and you might feel depressed, you might feel upset, you might feel super angry. The best way to, mitigate those feelings is to just calm down. And how do you calm down? By meditating. So I think it's a very good thing to do. So I'm going to put it in very good. This is reading, I assume. And I'm actually going to put reading in best. And this might be biased because I love reading manga, fiction, just about anything. I read, self-improvement books. I read finance books. I read, as I said, cartoon books. I just love reading. And, I could talk about this for a whole separate video of why I believe reading is so crucial to you. But if I had to give you two reasons, first, I think it enhances your creativity. It doesn't really matter what you're reading. It could even be fiction. It opens you up to different people's POVs. And fiction is just it's not real, right? Like when you watch Naruto or like Harry Potter, this was made up. So to me, I've always loved to read those sorts of stories and then come up with my own stories, if that makes sense. I just think it's very good for, your mind to just think more and more, if that makes sense. And then the second reason is just, even if you're not particularly learning a new language, even if you only speak one language, I think it just enhances your vocabulary significantly. It makes you smarter. And I think reading more doesn't really bring you nothing bad from it. You could argue that it's boring or that it's a waste of your time, but someone that reads a book once a month to someone that doesn't, I will assume that the person that does read a book 12 times a year probably speaks much better, has a better vocabulary, and can essentially communicate more effectively as well. And I think those are all traits that you want to have, especially when you get older. If it's in a negotiation, job interview, whatever the case may be, being able to just communicate more efficiently and effectively is crucial. So that's why I think it's one of the best things that you can do. And I wouldn't say necessarily this comes from reading. I think it's more the vocabulary and the sorts of text and speech that you can see in reading, but I do think it can definitely help. For me, the main thing that I've noticed that happens when I read is I pick up on certain words and I start to implement those words into my vocabulary. And it could even be as simple word as ecstatic. It's not a word that I'm going to use a lot, but I'm subconsciously going to be able to think of scenarios when I'm not even thinking of like using that word, but then a specific scenario comes and I use it, and it makes me feel a little better about myself. Religion, I would say, is best, but it depends how you interpret it into your life. For me, I'm Christian. I read the Bible. I pray. I do, all of the stuff that I'm supposed to do and what my religion tells me to do. But I think the crucial thing to do, no matter what religion you are, is to really build a connection with God Himself. I think that's the most beneficial thing that you can do, and the thing that's most helped me. Because you could argue that religion is man-made for the most part. It's just a set of rules to follow. This is good, this is bad. And for most part, morally, it's pretty straightforward, right? Like, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do this, don't do that. Like, it's not always too difficult to follow. Obviously, we all make mistakes. But to actually try and build a relationship with God Himself and just being able to pray to Him, speak to Him, talk to Him about your day is what makes, having a religion and that relationship one of the best things you can possibly do. Because for me, similar to meditation, it calms me. It allows me to speak to someone when I feel lonely, when I feel like there's no one else to talk to. I have God to talk to. So I think that's why it's one of the best things to do. This right here, I'm going to assume it's just working out. I'm going to put it best. I'm not really going to talk about this too much in detail. Working out is crucial for your health and also just your physical appearance. You can say whatever you want, but everyone wants to look better, and it's one simple way to make yourself look better. Even if you work out at home, even if you just exercise by going for a walk every single day, 7 days a week, it's gonna help. Even if it just reduces your chances of becoming obese, that helps a lot. I'm going to assume this is just having better sleep, or like they call it sleep maxing. I'm gonna put this in good. The reason I can't put this higher is because my sleep right now is horrible, so I'm a hypocrite, and I definitely have to work on sleep maxing. But I think having a better sleep comes down to actually implementing these other habits into your life. Like, I truly believe that if you have a better nutritional plan set into place, or you work out, or you do these sorts of stuff like reading before you go to sleep instead of being on your phone, you're going to have better sleep, which makes you not really have to be focusing on, sleep maxing per se, but more on these other activities that just allow you to have better sleep in the first place, if that makes sense. But it's definitely something crucial and definitely something that you should be doing. Sleep is crucial. Please go to sleep before a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I'm going to assume this is going on dates or just being social. I think there's different ways to look at it. I'm going to assume this is social, or like making friends, and this is just dating and stuff like that. I think it's alright. I'm 19. I'm not really doing much dating. I don't really care what, people say. There's different ideologies. You have red pill, blue pill, black pill. To me, I have my friends. I know girls. I talk to girls. But I'm not going out of my way to find the love of my life right now. I'm young. I have more important things to focus on, like my family and my goals. And so I'm not going out of my way to date, right? And then you could definitely say that, oh, but dating helps. You need the experience if it's in the bedroom or if it's just being able to speak to women. But personally, as a Christian, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I don't want the experience. I'd rather just meet one person and have that one special, unique experience with them and just share myself to solely them. And then in terms of just talking to people and improving my communication skills, I can do that without having to go on dates. So I'm gonna put it just all right. Looks maxing, I will say it's pretty good. I think if you don't take it to the extreme, I'm gonna put it here because I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I said sleep maxing or just improving your sleep comes down to other habits, like not being on your phone, setting a better time, when to always go to sleep, yada yada. Looks maxing is similar, because if you're just focusing on your looks and you're doing those extreme things like even doing surgery, it's a bit over. It's you're doing a little too much. But if you're just doing habits that help with your looks, then I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Going to the gym, that's looks maxing. Reading, it is looks maxing. It's maybe not looks wise, but definitely personality and behavioral wise. I think what else can you do? You can make money, have a better fashion sense. You can take care of your skin better. You can eat healthier. Those things are much more beneficial in itself, but they also add to your looks. So those are habits that you should be doing, and they will help your looks. But looks maxing in itself is, I'll just say it's good. Nofap, I will say is it's good. I think the best thing from Nofap, especially that I've noticed, is being able to allow people to cut off porn. Porn is evil, truly is one of the most demonic things out there. And you even see with like what these sites like support, and like the underage trafficking and all of that stuff is just complete disgusting. But I feel like just especially like us men and women face it too, like, don't get me wrong, but we're exposed to this like disgusting stuff at such a young age, and then it just like shapes our perceptions of the opposite genders, or just the gender that we're attracted to, in such a negative light. And I truly don't think there's any benefits to porn. Like, I generally don't think there's anything you could benefit from. So I feel like Nofap in that sense is pretty beneficial. Obviously, I've seen a lot of arguments on both sides that Nofap, it's life alternate. It changes life completely, boosts your confidence, makes your skin glower, all of this stuff. And then there's like other people that like use scientific studies to prove that Nofap is stupid and it doesn't really change anything in terms of your testosterone, or it doesn't in fact do anything. If anything, it's actually not healthy for you. Like, apparently you're supposed to do it. But either way, from personal experience, especially cutting porn from your life, I think is an amazing thing. If anything, it's the best thing you can possibly do for yourself if you are facing that addiction. But Nofap in itself, do your research and then believe what you want to believe. Personal experience, I do think that the less I do it, the better I do feel. Let's just say that. Next, we have this right here, which I do believe is just chasing the bag or money. I'm gonna put it very good. I think, chasing money is definitely a thing that's definitely better to do than chasing women or men at a young age. You're essentially just wasting your time, and even if you do all those stuff with whoever you're attracted to, usually there's not much fulfillment if it's just random people. And it's definitely more fulfilling to at least make money and do things that you like to do. And that's really the only reason money is what it is. Like, money allows you to do things that you want to do. It allows you to go and hike on mountains. It allows you to travel to countries. It allows you to try that new restaurant. It allows you to spend time with the people that you love most by doing something that's fun to do. You can play basketball in a court, at a gym. You can go and exercise at a gym because you have money to do so. So I think all those things are beneficial to you and having a happier life per se, or more fulfilling life as well. But chasing money in itself is not really that fulfilling. I think it really comes down to what you do to obtain that money that's fulfilling. And if you're able to have a passion while chasing the bag, which I would say is the best. It's like kind of like finding your purpose, finding your reason to why do you do this? Why am I making these videos? Which I do want to make money on this channel. But I didn't create this channel for the sole reason of money. It's definitely one of the factors that you have to take into consideration, but that's not the purpose of this channel, right? So chasing money is very good. Definitely better to do than, Nofap or, watching porn or just going on countless of dates and wasting all your money for no absolute reason. But I don't think it should be your sole focus on this world. At the end of the day, we all die, and none of this stuff is gonna matter. So do what is fulfilling to you. And then lastly, I don't want to yap for too much longer. This is nutrition, I'm going to assume. Just eating healthier, cutting out junk food, McDonald's, that sort of stuff, sodas. I'm gonna put it best. I think it's similar to the gym. It's so crucial to your life, and it's definitely something that you're going to be thankful for doing the sooner you do it, especially as you get older. And we all know that there's so much health problems with all of us. When we get older, we start having back problems. Our chances of having strokes, heart diseases are higher too. People are exposed to different sorts of cancers and diseases. And if you're able to just have a healthier diet, you're essentially reducing your chances of having those problems. And as well, similar to the exercising, you reduce your chances of obesity, stuff like that. You live longer, you feel better. It's just the way to go with life, if that's what you want to do. Obviously, I'm not telling you that you have to eat healthier. If you want to eat Cheetos every single day, do as you wish. But personally, when I eat healthier, I feel better, and that's all that matters to me. And then lastly, I'm going to assume this is just being social, meeting people, making friends. And I'm gonna put this in very good, but I do think you could put this in best. I would say it goes hand in hand. And I feel like the best thing that I found, well, there's two things I want to talk about to why I love socialization. First, this is not my first point, but we are social creatures. We crave attention and just communication with others, and just being desired and wanted, and just people being around us. No one wants to be lonely. You can literally die from loneliness, right? From what I heard. And so socialization just brings you, honestly, to a lot of people, purpose. I think the one of the biggest things to take away from life is the memories you make. And you can make a lot of memories by yourself, and that's not a bad thing at all. Being able to live by yourself is great. Living your life, you are living your own life. But obviously there's going to be people in your life that make your life a bit better. Your parents, your friends, your family, your significant other. These people make your life even better. They make it more worthwhile. And so socialization, going out of your way to meet people, let's say you're playing basketball and you go to different courts and you meet new people and you have these conversations, is amazing. And the second thing that ties with the first thing is there's so much opportunities to be able to gain from socializing with people. I know, for instance, this year I made a really good friend in my accounting class, in my intermediate accounting class. I've talked about this in my previous videos, and I've been exposed to other people. I've been exposed to his friends. I've made even more friends, and I may not be as close with his friends, but he's a very good friend. We've been able to have a connection, and I'm able to now, go to him for help, for advice, and whatever the case may be. There's another person in my life who I've grown closer to in the past few months, and they've essentially given me opportunities in terms of, reminding me about different job opportunities. There's another scenario as well, which I talked about before in one of my interview rejections. I had a friend. I made him through the chess club. We weren't too close, but we interacted. I introduced myself, he introduced himself. I asked him for some advice, with my first year, my second year, and he was there for me, and I was nice to him. We had a connection. Even if it wasn't a strong connection, we were still friends. And he essentially referred me after to the workplace that he was working at, and I got a job interview early, pretty much just because of him. And that just opens up so much opportunities and experience. And I think being social and just being a good human being to everyone doesn't really hurt you in no shape or form. So I think socialization in itself is, if anything, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to put it here. I'm not ranking these in order, but I think socialization could be the best. Or like religion, like having a strong relationship with God. But yeah, I think that's essentially my tier list. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you stick through the entire video, I really want to say thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.